One week, your child won't let you out of their sight. You pour the cereal. You help with the shoes. You read the bedtime story. You give the goodnight hug. And if anyone else tries to step in, the answer arrives instantly. No, I want you. At first, it feels wonderful, then flattering, then mildly inconvenient, and eventually exhausting. But just when you've adjusted to being the center of your child's universe, something strange happens. The exact same child who treated you like oxygen suddenly decides you're optional. Now they only want the other parent. The parent they ignored for weeks is suddenly the only person qualified to pour juice, locate missing stuffed animals, or perform bedtime procedures. If you're the newly chosen parent, it feels great. If you're the newly rejected parent, it can feel surprisingly personal. Most parents eventually ask the same question: what did I do wrong? According to developmental psychologists, usually nothing. Because what looks like favoritism is often something much more interesting. Your child isn't choosing a favorite, they're solving a problem. And the solution changes more often than most adults realize. Most people assume children build relationships the same way adults do: more affection, more attachment, more preference. Simple. Except children's brains don't organize relationships that way. In fact, one of the most consistent findings in developmental psychology is that children often seek different caregivers for different emotional jobs. Not because they love one parent more, because different parents become associated with different outcomes. One parent makes scary situations feel safe. One makes unfamiliar situations feel exciting. One helps calm big emotions. One helps build confidence. And once a child's brain notices those patterns, it starts using them. Not consciously, automatically. The same way you instinctively know which friend to call when you're stressed and which friend to call when you want advice. This becomes especially obvious during periods of stress. Researchers have found that children's preferences often become dramatically stronger when they're tired, sick, overwhelmed, or facing something new. Think about the moments when a child suddenly becomes intensely attached to one parent. The first week of school, a family move, a loud social event, a bad dream, a doctor's appointment. Those are not random moments. They're moments when the brain is looking for certainty. And certainty is one of the most powerful psychological rewards a child can experience. The parent who has repeatedly provided comfort in similar situations often becomes the brain's preferred shortcut. Not because they're better, because they're familiar. The brain loves familiarity, especially under pressure. Here's something many parents never hear. Children don't just learn about their parents, they learn about themselves through their parents. Imagine a child who repeatedly hears, "You can do this. Try again. I believe in you." Over time, that parent becomes associated with confidence. Now imagine another parent who consistently helps them recover after disappointment. That parent becomes associated with safety. The child isn't simply seeking a person, they're often seeking a feeling. They're seeking the version of themselves that tends to emerge around that person. And that's one reason preferences can look so irrational to adults. The child isn't choosing between mom and dad, they're choosing between emotional experiences. But here's where things become even more surprising. Not all children develop strong preferences. Some don't seem to have a favorite at all. And contrary to what many people assume, that's often a very positive sign. When researchers study securely attached children, many show flexibility rather than exclusivity. They can accept comfort from multiple caregivers. They can adapt when one parent isn't available. They can switch between trusted adults without becoming distressed. In other words, a child who doesn't appear to have a favorite isn't necessarily less attached. Sometimes they're demonstrating the opposite. Their sense of security is broad enough to include multiple people. Now let's talk about the hardest part. being the parent who isn't wanted. You walk into the room, your child sees you, and immediately says, "No, I want dad," or "No, I want mom." Nothing prepares you for how much that can sting. Even when you know they're young, even when you know they don't mean it. The reaction feels personal because adult brains interpret it as personal. But children's brains usually aren't sending the message adults hear. Adults hear, "I prefer them." Children often mean, "I need what they provide right now." Those are completely different statements. One is rejection. The other is regulation. This is where many parents accidentally make things worse. Some begin competing, trying harder, buying more things, seeking reassurance, taking the preference personally. Developmental experts consistently warn against this, not because those reactions are unusual, because they're understandable, but because they turn a temporary developmental phase into a relationship tension the child never intended to create. Children don't benefit from choosing winners and losers. They benefit from knowing both parents remain available, regardless of who gets chosen today. And here's the irony. The parent who feels least appreciated in the moment is often doing some of the most important work. Research shows children thrive when they develop strong relationships with multiple caregivers. Different adults teach different skills: security, confidence, independence, flexibility, problem solving, resilience. The child may not recognize those contributions today, but development is full of delayed rewards. Many adults eventually realize that the parent they appreciated least as a child shaped them more than they ever understood at the time. So, the next time your child insists on one parent over the other, try asking a different question. Not, "Why don't they want me?" but, "What are they looking for right now?" Comfort? Confidence? Predictability? Reassurance? Adventure? Because children are constantly navigating a world that still feels enormous. And when they encounter uncertainty, they naturally move toward whatever helps them feel capable of handling it. Sometimes that will be you. Sometimes it won't. And sometimes it will change overnight. That isn't evidence of a broken bond. It's evidence of a growing mind learning how to use relationships. Because the goal was never to become your child's favorite. The goal was always to become one of the people they know they can count on. And long after the favorite parent phases disappear, that's the part they'll remember.
Today's mystery was favorite parents. Next time, we'll explore another childhood behavior that seems irrational, but isn't.